All right, we're rolling. Episode 62 of the GameFi rundown is starting right now. So we got Paz here. Paz, thanks for coming as always. And we have Taryn, who's this is what 3 or 4 episodes in a row. He might just
Yeah.
become a mainstay here.
Gives me something to do in the mornings.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's get right into this first topic. Um, it seems like me and you we have a little bit more free time on our hands because of this. Hold on, I can't even move. There we go. Yeah, a little more free time because Illuvium was doing some cuts, trimming down. I know you just said that you addressed this on Scoriox's channel. The both of us were, on the tough end of that. We got let go with a lot of other, great staff from great core contributors from Illuvium, and yeah, I guess the idea is no, they cut down by 40%, which extended the runway 24 months. So that kind of gives more security, I guess, to the people who are, invested in really hoping for Illuvium. Because yeah, they cut down, but now they're extending that time they have to build out what they're promising. So yeah, Taryn, I guess we'll just start with you. What's your experience with this? What do you think? And does this make you more bullish or scared? I guess
Yo, can you guys hear me, by the way?
I can hear you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. It says I'm muted for some reason. Yeah, so does it make me bullish or scared? Well, I'm glad that they've got more runway. I think that puts a lot of people's minds at ease, for at least in terms of, okay, there's no imminent cliff that Illuvium is going to fall off, which is, I think, really, really reassuring. I think the next thing that they need to do is really, really deliver on Arena, and based on the stuff that we know, the stuff that is planned, I think that's Arena is probably not going to be the thing that drives a bunch of revenue, but what it can do is it can act as a proof of concept that the IP is strong enough to bring in players. If we can acquire a bunch of players through that, through marketing initiatives, good gameplay, and actually have them retained inside of it because of the gameplay loop, that's going to be a very, very good example for VCs and anyone wanting to invest in us in the long term. Say, hey, we can develop a good game, we can bring players in, we can market. If we can do that properly, and I think now we've got a lot more time to do that with the 24 months. Obviously, you'd want that sooner rather than later, but that's when you get a raise when the markets are a little bit better. That proves to everyone that, hey, we've got something here and we shift fully into the MMO. So am I bullish or bearish about it? I'd say more bullish. It's going to be a bit tougher because they've got a leaner team. That's obvious. But like I say, I think that they're almost done with Arena anyway. So that's going to be a very pivotal moment, I think, for the direction of everything.
Yeah, and Paz, I want to get your thoughts on this too, but if he can stick around, okay, you keep going in and out. But I was just about to say that it kind of reminded me of when Grant left. It's like, I mean, a different situation when Grant left, but when you thought about it, it was just like, all right, so we're losing someone who was paid a lot for a job that's not really needed anymore because they had already had a lot of the artwork done. So I kind of like to think about it like this: like a lot of what they needed out of the people they let go, they probably got a lot out of them. I mean, that doesn't sound good for the individual person, but for Illuvium itself, like maybe the people that they let go, they don't need them anymore, and they just trim down to the core staff that they really need to continue with this game. And yeah, like you said, I'm sure after markets pick up, there's another raise, they'll expand the team. I actually heard that personally that that's the plan in the future, but until they get to a good spot to do that, this is what they're dealing with. Paz, you good? Okay, because you like popped in and out a little bit. But I wanted to get your take on this because you're on the community sub council now. So, what did any of this come through the council at any point about like the team getting trimmed down, or did you kind of just hear it when everybody else heard it?
Kind of when everybody else heard it. I think the first time I heard about it was when Terran gave me a heads up, and then once everybody else knew about it, that's kind of when Kieran told us on council level, I think. But that's for ICC, right? He probably talked to IMC before that, but
Yeah,
ICC
yeah,
doesn't need to be kept in the loop with everything going on internally. So yeah.
yeah. And then I guess we'll just move on to this next topic here, since it's about governance.
I mean,
So
did you give your opinion on it? Did you say like, are you bullish, bearish, like overall?
You mean nice out?
Yeah,
pass.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, no, you.
No, I
Like,
was talking about Unijay. Did you kind of give a
oh, me?
yeah?
Yeah, I guess I can give my opinion. I would say I am bullish, and the main reason is because I've been saying this for a while, and I honestly thought we would have got to this point by now. But I think the markets can carry, a project like this further. So the fact that they extended out that runway to 24 months, I'm pretty confident in the next 24 months we'll see the markets pick up, and then at that point you can do a raise and expand the team again. If you kept the full team and say you ran out of runway in the next 8 to 10 months, maybe that happens before the market picks up. So just the fact that we know that they have enough right now to get through, close to 2 years, that makes me bullish, because even if it pushes out these new games, slows down the development, I think we get to a point where, like, we just need to survive, and then things can blow up. So overall, bullish on the long term. Short term, I think obviously it's going to slow things down a little bit because there's less people, in there every day working on it. But overall, bullish.
Yeah. Um, I agree. It's bullish. It's also very sad because Illuvium was positioned to just take off. If everything went right, there was such a good team behind it with so many talented people. Like the best case scenario for Illuvium was looking really good. But since best case didn't happen, stuff like this had to happen. I'm really sad to see some of these people go, but it's not going to be linear, right? If you have double the people, you're not going to be able to put out double the content and everything and the development effort. So it's going to get a bit more efficient, a bit more lenient because yeah, the bigger a studio gets, I guess, the more convoluted it gets and the less efficient. Even though
Yeah,
they
like
were great
in
in
that
these three
post,
games.
Kieran put that the staff was cut by 40%. I don't think that means that the production is going to go down 40%. It might mean the production goes down 15-20%, even though they cut the staff by 40%. So that just makes things more efficient. But yeah, so moving on to some more governance news. There's some things going on with governance. Like I just mentioned, you're on the council here, so I want to get your opinion. So we had one person actually like leave the council, and I heard that at first, and I thought, oh, it must have been Fight for ETH, because he had that, the, what do you call it, the vonk
Well,
before, and he got through that, and I was just like, oh, okay, I guess he just finally left, because I saw that JP got in, and then I found out that it was actually Ricky Tan who decided to leave the council. Um, so Ricky Tan's out. JP was the next in line, so he filled that role. Can you just give us a little update on maybe why that happened, and how things are going at this point?
sure. Ricky left 100% out of personal reasons. He got a promotion in his job. I think he leaked that. So yeah, he became a big lead at his job, and he's really happy about that. But it's gonna take up all his time, and he has really good work ethics. So he couldn't be like, all right, I take my new job, and I'm just gonna be slacking on the council and stay there. So it was like, I got my new job. I'm gonna leave council because I'm not gonna be able to provide as much value as I think is right.
Yeah. No, that
So
makes
yeah,
sense. And I guess it's good that JP was the next in line, because he was on the council last epoch. So it's not like you needed to get someone new up to speed. I'm sure he's just fitting right in and doing a great job.
yeah, 100%. It took like a few days, and he was like up and running, like very fast onboarding. He's doing a
Awesome.
great job.
Okay, so during this whole time, which was only like a couple of weeks ago, there was another, I guess, proposal put out there. I think it might have been by Fight for ETH, that was kind of talked about how he thought that the council shouldn't get paid or get paid less, and then use those funds to promote the game more through content creators or stuff like that. I think that
I
that ended up getting
don't think
declined.
that
So
was.
it
I don't think
really,
that was Fact Brief. If I'm not mistaken, that might have
Yeah,
been Quants.
good morning.
It might have been Quants.
They like it feels like everyone did one. So
Uh,
Fight for Eve, they want to put his council pay into the mods, just like giving up his council pay. Then Quants, they want to remove all the council pay and put it into streamers, which was just two proposals on its own, and one of them was not very like a good timing for that because Illuvium is not marketing right now. So why would you push Illuvium to market
yeah,
into streamers that have 5 viewers at the moment? So yeah, there were different
yeah, I'll,
proposals. Then
I'll
also Jag and I put something else, like a bunch of feedback ideas posts. And originally we all wanted to be a united front, but it kind of spread out, and
yeah,
everybody
that's what I
kind of
noticed. That's why I couldn't really lock in on something because I felt like I saw something from Jaganite too, and I saw things from a few different areas, and I was just like, I don't see how this all blends together. But
it
yeah, I want
started
to
to
get
be very political, I feel like.
yeah,
And I don't want to talk too much because yeah, it is still being discussed internally, and I don't want to like be like
yeah.
leaking stuff that the council is
what's being
discussing.
discussed about salaries or about paying streamers?
No, not paying strings.
Okay,
About
right.
the future council structure for next
Yeah,
epoch or this
yeah,
epoch
yeah, yeah.
still. Yeah,
Yeah, and we've seen changes to the way governance has been. I feel like almost every epoch, except for I think the last turnover, there's always a different structure. There's Gov. What are we on Gov V3 right now? Or you're probably talking
yeah.
about Gov V3. Things are always changing because the environment is changing. But so I guess Taryn, I want your opinion more on this. Do you think that the council pay is too much now, at least in terms of ILV? Because now that ILV is so low, the ILV that's getting you know that's going out to these council members is literally like 5x from even last council when I was on the council. So there's a lot of ILV going out every epoch for the council members. Uh, what do you think on that? Yeah, I see a little smirk.
Yeah,
Let's
I
hear
mean,
it.
how much are they actually getting paid in dollar amount? I actually forget. What's
It
the
got
Uh,
dollar
reduced
value?
from 5,000 to 3,000 on the IMC, and then half for
Okay,
that, half of that for ICC.
right. Uh, so should they get paid? They should get compensated. What that looks like, I don't know. Is it ILV? Is it USDC? Just a flat thing? I know some people. I disagree with this about discs and assets. Personally, I just disagree. I think you just we have a burn issue as it is with a lot of the assets. I don't think doing more of that. I know fuel was also suggested. I think that's again the burn issue is something that we've had. I think solving this problem with that idea is just adding to it. So I don't think that's it. Compensation of some kind should happen. I think that's completely reasonable. How much is it? Debatable. How much work are they putting in? Debatable. Uh, yeah, there needs to be compensation. What that looks like, I don't know. But is it ILV? Maybe it's half ILV, half USDC. I don't know. Half stables. I don't know. But
yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
is governance even needed? Like that's the bigger question, right? And I think it was. And I don't know the legal structure of it all. I know what definitely was important due to regulations previously. I believe the it's changed. The environment has changed slightly and shifted slightly. So I don't know if we're still super reliant on that. But even a scaled down version, I don't think there is a need for an IMC, ICC. Uh, Maybe instead of 5 people, or maybe you just raise the IMC to 7 people. Like we need to streamline the process. I think that's what it is. Streamline the process. There's too many cooks in the kitchen, and what I mean by that is it's not the number of people. It's the steps involved. Okay, it needs to go through ICC. It needs to go through this. It needs to go through that. It's like just make it simple, If you want more people, fine. Put 7 people in the IMC, 6 community members or 6 elected candidates, and 1 team representative.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good kind of middle ground where we still have that decentralized DAO structure while eliminating some of the additional steps that we're currently facing.
Yeah. Now, and I pretty much agree for the most part. I think having the 2 councils, I think, is kind of like uh, not redundant, but I don't think it's necessary. I think you could just have 1 council. I think you could get away with having 5 elected members and then have someone like Kieran or someone from the team advise them, but not necessarily get a vote. So maybe five people voted on the council who get the vote, and just have the 1 council. Another thing that I think some people maybe they don't fully understand is because I've seen the argument of like, oh, we're paying the council members so much and it's digging into the runway. But like it doesn't dig into the runway because these are ILV tokens. It's not the USDC or the Ethereum that's set aside for the runway. It's ILV tokens. So you're inflating the supply a little bit, but it's not affecting the runway directly. Um, and I know some people try to use that as an argument. And I do agree that they need to get paid to some amount. I don't know exactly what that amount is. Um,
I'm just
then
curious as to how much they actually do. Like, I'm sure some people do a lot, but
yeah,
I would love to know what they actually do on a day to day. What warrants for IMC
Yeah.
yeah.
$3,500? Like,
Yeah, and I can't speak for IMC because I haven't been on the IMC. For the other councils that I've been on, I can say like it's it always seems like more of a roller coaster. Like there'll be some weeks or months where you feel like there's a ton going on, a lot of proposals going through. You're doing a lot, and then there'll be other weeks and months where you're just like there's not a whole lot going on right now. We're just kind of waiting
you're
for.
talking ICC specifically, right?
Yeah. For
Yeah.
IMC, I do agree with you. Like I wish I knew more of like exactly what they did.
Because I mean, I
Yeah.
again, I've never been a part of the IMC structure at all, but I would imagine, like, man, you've got market research, you've got networking abilities. Like, what are you actually doing? What's the value that you're actually providing? There has to be something, right? You can't just say, "Oh, I'm a chill out. Oh, I take a couple of meetings and I participate in some of the conversations." Like, that can't be it. Like, that's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. That's what I've seen as well. That's why I put out a post to or a proposal almost to upgrade the requirements. Because right now ICC has like 10 to 15 hours and do this and this and that. There's a little bit requirement behind it. But for IMC it's literally open-ended. Like it could be 1 hour a month, it could be 100-hour months. Like it's there is
But
nothing that
I
hold
don't
them
think.
accountable
But
with the requirements.
I don't think adding that in requirements like is going to change anything. Like, it's how do you hold them accountable? Like, well, what are they accountable
Yeah,
for?
yeah,
You know what I
it
mean?
would
Like,
be
what are
they
they?
had to like keep track of the tasks and then we have someone to look over them, like really, yeah, just write down your hours basically. So you have
Doge type
something to
shit.
show.
What did you achieve in the last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's something that
Also
we
to
go ahead, Bess.
I was gonna touch on the other points because no pay or a bit of compensation. The problem is the risk involved with it, right? Even without Vara, IMC is at a high risk, especially in the next epoch, to be sued personally. I mean, how high the risk is. There is a risk for them to being sued, and there's a lot of risk attached with IMC and also with ICC. So if you don't have compensation for that, it's just risk and a little bit of work, and then you get a little bit of value out of it for content creators or whoever is going to sign for that up for that. It's yeah, the candidate pool is going to be interesting.
What do you guys think?
And
I'm very curious about the content creator meta, because I know there's been a couple of people and it's kind of being memed out where a lot of the IMC or governance is just the creators, and we've got slightly less creators now. And I know some of the creators are stepping away, but what do you guys think the next epoch looks like? Do you think that meta carries through, or
Yeah. I mean, honestly, obviously I'm biased because I'm one of those people who's made content, but you need to get your
we all
face
are.
out there. You need to like gain the trust of the community and I'm sure there are great people who could be on the council that I don't know about. But if I don't know about them, then I don't trust them. Why would I vote for them? I think it's more of if you want to be on this council and you think you could do a good job, I think it's your duty to put out more content and be more in the community so people know you. Um, it just happens that some of us it works in the opposite way. We start making the content and then we move into these council roles. But but yeah, I think it's probably going to end up being people who are just well known in the community and who make content because they get the most recognition. And I don't really see I don't see that as a bad thing. I think that's just kind of like how it is. It's how it is everywhere. Even in politics, like regular American
So,
politics.
so
It's like
essentially, you're saying that the meta will probably stand.
I think so. I can't
Yeah.
imagine we're going to go into the next epoch and then all of a sudden have 5 IMC members that I've never heard of before.
Now, I wouldn't say never heard of, but maybe just community members.
Yeah.
Let's say you,
Well,
you get
the thing with
Quant.
that,
Quant
even
isn't a creator, but he's
yeah,
obviously a pretty prominent figure in the community. You
yeah.
might to see people like that kind of step
But,
up.
but that's also like I can see in the Discord there are a lot of people who might stand out because they're active in the Discord and like that's the real community that they're involved in. But there's a lot more people who have voting power that are not hanging around in the Discord and are not interacting with those people. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah, that makes sense.
I think those people
Yeah,
would probably be great, and I think they need to make more of a presence for themselves on something like X at a minimum.
Yeah, yeah, for
I
sure.
don't think there is many people outside of content creators who is gonna take the risk without compensation. Like at least they get something out of it for their personal brands. But like somebody who wants the best for Illuvium, is highly invested. They're like, hell nah, I'm not gonna risk being sued, right? Like maybe some people are gonna raw dog it, but yeah, I don't see that happening.
Yeah. All right.
We'll see. We can try it an epoch, right? As long as it's like a test period, it's not like this is it for now on. Because once Illuvium is up and running and we're doing great, we want to have a solid governance structure where the people are getting compensated and put in a lot of work, like and a lot of value gained from them. I think the problem was always not pay too much, but there is not enough value coming out of that pay. Like
Yeah.
raise the worth ethics, not reduce or remove the pay. But it's
Well,
hard to
just
do.
like everything, these things always come up when the markets are down and there's a lot of FUD around. I'm confident that things are going to pick up and the market's going to pick up, and then these things I don't think they'll be that big of an issue anymore. But
Yeah, there
we'll
was a
see.
good proposal by Stuart, I think, from Illuvium. Like he said, we maybe should be tying the compensation to revenue distribution, whereas like 1% of revenue goes to council. Right now, that's $5. Maybe in 10 years, that's way too much, and then like cap it at a certain amount, so it cannot
Yeah.
go indefinitely higher.
Yeah, I could see that too. But if you do something like that and the compensation is just too low, then people are, not going to want to, go for those positions. But all right,
Yeah.
let's change the topic because we got something a little more fun to talk about. Let me go over here. So this is let me see. Let me play a little bit of this video. So this is going to be Breach. Um, I'll play it quick and then we'll talk about
Well, a little disclaimer. Can you pause? Like,
it. Yes.
sorry. It because you said it. This is gonna be Breach. Like, this is an early alpha look at something that could be integrated in the MMO. There's nothing
Yeah.
confirmed that we are getting Breach to the community. Actually, that's just something that 2 developers in the back have been working on. So it's
Yeah.
not like the next feature of Illuvium. I just wanted to make that
Yeah,
clear.
yeah, definitely. And we'll get more into that. But I was actually surprised when these leaks started coming out, because being on the team before, I was able to test this out. But even when I was testing it out, it was just kind of thrown at me, being like, this isn't really like something that we're going to be putting out there or anything. This is kind of just like something that was thrown together with some cool features, and we'll kind of just see how things develop. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. This isn't like the next big game that Illuvium is pointing out. It's I guess it's kind of more of a mini game. But yeah, let me
Yeah.
just play this and then we'll talk more about it.
There's, by the way, great sound in this video, usually. I really like this part where you have to dodge the abilities from Mephistos, like the
Yeah.
lasers.
Even when I was playing it, it wasn't this developed. Like it actually had all alluvials around instead of these like the placeholder ones there.
Yeah, we have seen the future monsters that gonna replace the placeholders also in the leaks
Yep.
right here.
Let me see.
Freak
There's
show.
good ones. Yeah.
The new
Yeah,
one
these
is
are
really
pretty cool.
cool.
Yeah, because
This one.
when I was testing it out, it was all of the things that popped up were just other alluvials. It felt a little weird for me because it was the first time I was going in there and having like alluvials attack me. Um, I don't know. I kind of just always thought of it as like they're like more your companions than things that are gonna attack you. But I think it's kind of cool that they're gonna have all these new characters built out for it. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of those features are kind of like built into that game, and those are going to be extracted or used into this MMO light that's going on. Um, I think that video was the only real leak of gameplay we've got, though, right?
No, there was another one
There's
on
more.
Going Hyper, but it's fine. We don't need to watch it. There was another
Yeah,
one on Going Hyper. Yeah.
yeah, but Tyron, I'm sure you play tested that a little bit too, right? What do you think of
Yeah,
it?
yeah, of course. No, it's awesome. I like it. Yeah, obviously there's a lot to improve on. It's a good foundation for sure. Yeah, like I mentioned this on the download with Scariox. It's very clearly just a testing ground. The thing is, it could actually be its own full game. I wouldn't call it a mini game. I'd call it its own game. But it's going to take a lot of time, and I think that prioritizing a polish on this takes away from the MMO, but they can use this as, like I say, a testing ground for mechanics that can be implemented. Like for example, right now you look at the boss battle. Right now you see a Fisto just standing in the middle, and it floats up and it comes back in the middle. It doesn't really move around. Yes, you have to dodge attacks, but that's a very good foundation to build off. Uh, for the MMO, you probably wouldn't want a raid where the boss just stands there. You want it to be teleporting around. You want it to be moving around, making sure, like, limiting this. Like, there's so much to do, right? But this is a very good starting point, I think. And
Yeah,
with the two new guys that the team has hired from Eve and World of Warcraft for the MMO, I think they'll just start working on that. And I know for a fact that this has been a testing thing. This was done by two guys.
yeah,
Chaba for sure. I think it was Gezu, Chaba and Gezu. They're the guys that did this. So yeah, the fact that they built this out, combat can be improved. Like there's just so much that they're doing here, which will be uh, polished for the MMO. So I'm glad that it's not starting from zero.
yeah,
I do wish that this could be polished as a game that I would love to play,
yeah,
but I understand for the what I want is selfish. It's not for the greater good of all of Illuvium. So
yeah.
no, I'm very excited to see how it all plays out.
Yeah. In playing that, you at least this version of it, you lose all of the regions that were built out because it's just kind of like you're on like these tiny little islands and you're just going to another little floating island in the sky. So that's something that I think I couldn't imagine then the team just ditching these giant regions that they built.
But I would even say that this is just my assumption, right? It's not backed by anything, but I'm assuming like level design is going to be the fundamentals, not fundamentals, but the direction of level design changes depending on the genre of game. You would have it different for a roguelike as such as this compared to a RPG, compared to an MMO, uh, compared to raids. Like that, it's very, very different. So my assumption is that the regions and the designs that we see in the MMO are actually going to be different from what we have now. It's going to be different level designs. I've nothing to back this up. It's just an understanding of level design, which has me come to that conclusion.
All right, Paz. I mean, you got any more thoughts on this? You were kind of going in and out. I'm not sure if you knew you're disconnected there, but what do you think about Breach? You think it's got any potential as like a standalone game? Do you think it's just kind of something cool, but we're waiting for the real thing. What I keep thinking, and just my quick opinion on it, is that like I've always said before, I don't think we should spread the community too thin with all these different games. I think we should just focus on one overworld type game, one PvP type game, and then when we get enough players that really then we can expand from there. But I don't think we should have all these different options. Just personally,
Yeah, and I think Illuvium is thinking the same thing. Their main theme right now is focus, narrow attention. Right now, the attention's on Gauntlet. Once this is perfect, we're gonna start tournaments and all these marketing incentives. Once the game is in a presentable state, and then we're gonna move to MMO. We shouldn't, and that's why they're not throwing out, oh, here is a little, you can play a little bit Breach, because people are gonna misinterpret it. Oh, this is the new MMO, like, look at this. But it's not. So yeah, I don't think it should go out to the community, maybe to some trusted testers, but
yeah,
at this point, we just need to focus on what's absolutely best for the project and not what's nice for the community.
yeah.
I know
It,
this
it,
is probably a
I
hot
could see
take,
it
but yeah.
being I could see it being like a pretty cool thing though if they were able to just get this to a point where they could put it out to the community and be like, this is just something fun that you can go out, test some of these new features while we're building the MMO light. Instead of like we've heard before, maybe they just shut down the overworld until the MMO light is ready. But then that leaves people just basically with nothing if they're into that overworld. So maybe being able to play the Breach, and I'm sure there could be like some speed runs and stuff where people are seeing how far they can get in this, even if they know that it's not the long term plan. Uh, I mean, because what they have
I
with
think
Breach,
it's not streamlined enough and all over the place, and Overworld will stay open as far as I know. I
yeah,
think we should really focus, stick to our guns. Overworld, keep it open till MMO or as long as possible, and focus on Arena.
Again, there's one part where I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I say shut the overworld down. I can shut the overworld down and have a proper relaunch, a rebrand, not a rebrand, a proper relaunch of a product, or not even a relaunch, just a launch of a new product, rather than keep it open and have it come across is the way I explain it is imagine you want to go to you've been to an Indian restaurant, right? Or whatever, choose Italian restaurant, whatever restaurant you want. You go to it, the first time you've had it, you get food poisoning. And then next month they're like, "Oh, we've changed the recipes. Are you going to go back there?" No, you're probably going to go to a new restaurant that's opened up because you're like, I still crave Italian food, but I had a bad experience with that one. So it's the same thing. If people have had a less than ideal experience in Overworld and we keep it open and then we upgrade it over time, people aren't going to want to come back. Like we've lost that. Whereas if you come up with a new product, people are going to be like, oh, look, they fumbled that one, but the IP is cool. Look, let me give this one a shot. They're more willing to give a new opportunity a shot than an opportunity that they felt burnt on.
yeah. The
Yeah,
only thing that
taking
I
that.
worry about, I just worry about the people who have really been playing this, on a daily, weekly basis. I don't want to see them get screwed in any way. Whenever if it gets shut down and it gets reopened as the MMO light, I want to make sure that all those players who are putting in the time are like rewarded for their time, and not necessarily like in a monetary way, but like if they spend all their time working on
The,
leveling up these
the,
alluvials,
and
I want to see credits.
I understand, and something needs to be done for sure. But we need to understand that in the grand scheme of things, sometimes you need to go through a little pain. There's some sacrifices need to be made. You can't make everybody happy, and it sucks to say that, but that's the reality of it. You
Our
can't just
CEO metaphor is more like, okay, at the restaurant, the food is not that good. People are not coming back and so on. So we need to change something. We know in 4 months we're gonna have this new Italian chef and we're gonna rebrand the whole restaurant. Are we gonna close down now for the next 4 months? Or are we just gonna keep serving our medium class foods until like a month before, then shut down, prepare and go? I think it's more about just giving
Again, this
people
is just
something
me.
to do.
See, for me, that's the thing. For me, I would shut it down. I'd shut it down and open a new place. Because again, you've already got a negative reputation. Like we're talking about the restaurant analogy, but the
Yeah,
restaurant analogy already has bad reviews on Yelp. I don't use Yelp. I think that's an American thing, but yes, bad reviews on Yelp. So even if they stay open, cool. You're just there's overhead costs. Are you actually generating enough revenue to cover the overhead? You have people
yeah.
to
That's the
hire.
other thing.
You have
How
bills.
much does
You
it
have
really
rent.
take to upkeep? Yeah,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
and
just like
I don't know the details about Overworld, right? When we're talking about what's the overhead for Overworld, I don't know exactly. But yeah, again, I would take the. I mean, we were talking about it at the start of it. Sometimes you need to make the sacrifices. Both Najif and I had to get cut for the. Like, you can't make everyone happy.
yeah.
Tough decisions need to be made,
Well, that's
and
what I was
there's
just
no
about to
running
say.
away
Like,
from that.
decisions are going to have to be made, and there's always going to be somebody who's unhappy about it. So really, you just got to almost blind that out and be like, what's best for Illuvium, and you're going to make somebody unhappy either way. But
And
anyways,
as a leader, as like it's your job to make that difficult decision and take it on the chin for as long as possible until you get proven right. Like it's not an easy thing to do. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it has to be done. I'm not saying
and we
what I'm
really,
saying is the right way to do it. That's what that in my point of view, that's the way I would see it going. But I'm not saying that's the be all and end all. I can see everything. From my limited knowledge, that's the way I'm looking at it from a marketing perspective.
yeah, and we have talked to the team because the community also wanted to know, hey, is it gonna speed up the MMO development a lot if we just close it? Because then it's obviously the best call. But they said it didn't change much because
Yeah,
they're not gonna work on it.
my argument wouldn't be about the development time. My argument would be about the marketing and the
Mm.
perception. It's not the
Yeah, but
development. I
you
wouldn't
made
say,
the
oh, close it
analogy with
down.
food poisoning, which is kind of extreme because there is a lot
Of
of people
course.
still going to the restaurant giving 5-star reviews and they love the food, right? This
Yeah,
is the other side of the coin.
but what is that? But what is that number? Like, so okay, well, we'll stick with okay. Let's not say food poisoning. Just had a meal that they didn't like. Very simple. Um, so let's say that in that restaurant, we'll use that restaurant analogy. So in the city that you're in, or in this town, let's make it very small. In this town, you have 2,000 people. And yes, that restaurant has 5 people that are consistently going there every single day. As an owner, would you be happy if you know your addressable market was 2,000 people, but you have 5 people that are going there every single day? That's such a small percentage of what you could be getting. Do you want to sacrifice? Like, for me, I would make the hard decision and be like, nah. Like, I'm sorry, you guys are gonna be pissed off at me, but there's 1,995 people that are potential customers. And if I open up a new thing, you guys, there's a chance some of you guys might drop off, but there's a very high chance if you're that dedicated, you're gonna come back to the new location anyway. So yeah, again, like it's the food poisoning. For these examples, we have to speak in hyperbole and go in extremes.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think the logic still
But
plays out.
if we even want to put more caveat to it, it would actually be okay, we're getting a delivery service now. Like we're actually delivering food now to people's places with the automated drone runs.
Correct.
And while we do that, are we keeping the restaurant up for people who don't want to order to actually go to a
No.
restaurant and still keep
Yeah, I would
our
say no.
branding? There is so much caveat to it. But I agree. It might be the best idea to close it down and not, yes, have like a narrow focus again, right? You just have the arena game. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's hard.
like legitimately, because then you don't get criticism. I would say you don't get criticisms, but okay, we have arena that's doing its thing. That's polished. It's doing its thing. You have automated drone runs. That's doing its thing. If you keep Overworld open while you're building other things, you're going to get criticisms about the 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 failings of Overworld. We haven't got this. We need missions. We need this. We need that. And you're not even putting any effort into it. So you're taking in all the criticism without solving any of it. Just eliminate that. Just take that away and say, hey, look, we're putting this on the shelf for now. It's not shelved forever. We're going to be focusing on this. Okay, you're going to get a few people that criticize, oh, but you didn't do this at the start. Fine. I'd rather deal with that than have the consistent flow of criticisms while I'm not even putting any effort into it. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah. And I guess we come back to the point where the community, the current community, they are invested in every single product of Illuvium. And Illuvium has a lot of products. We have Beyond, we have 3 games, and so on. So no matter what you do to make the project better, you're gonna burn people. And it's, I think, really hard to figure out how much can you burn people? Can you just disregard the full current community and just do whatever is best for the project? It's, I don't know. I think they're drawing the line somewhere, and I hope it's the right line they draw.
Yeah, and I'm curious to anyone watching what you think about the overworld. Like, should it be shut down? And for some reason, I can't get the chat going up on the screen, so I just wanted to acknowledge some of the people in here before we move on. Boyo, thanks for coming. You're always in here. Not sure who Texan is, but good morning. We got Vog in
Like,
here.
Texan is killing it in the arena.
Yeah,
He's
Texas
a force to be reckoned with.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
We got Illuv. Hey, how you doing? Vote for me. I don't know what we're voting for, but Silver Bushman
Next
says
epoch.
Next epoch. Yeah, well,
Mhm.
guess who else you're gonna have to come up against? Because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be throwing my name back in there now that I'm not on the team anymore.
Sure.
So we'll see how that goes. Maybe I can get back onto another epoch. But anyways, let's move on. So this, I was actually thinking of a segue in this in when we were talking about Breach a little bit, because Breach is like a very simple concept. And what I've noticed over the past just few months, a lot of these very simple games are coming out, and people are loving them, and they're just it probably takes a fraction of the team that someone like Illuvium or these AAA teams are trying to put together these very big projects. But you look at games like Kira Wilds, which they had like a 2 week play test or a 2 week airdrop play to airdrop period, and I was playing that every day, and I was loving that game. And it was very simple. It was actually like a pixelated version of Breach almost. You just go into these different worlds and things come to attack you. Then you have Gigaverse, Pirates Nations, Pixels for a while. I think Pixels is still a big thing. So I guess in hindsight, when you look back at a game like Illuvium or some of those other AAA style games, would it have been a better move just to stick with something more simple, or do you think in the long run this AAA style is the right approach? Paz, you want to start on that?
Sure. I'm gonna stick to what I said earlier. We were positioned to go to the moon if everything went right. Like, the best case scenario for Illuvium was really good. There was some mistakes made and it didn't happen, and whatever the reasons were. So for the worst case scenario, I think it's not that good, I guess, because we invested so much in everything that we're kind of in over our heads. Um, but that being said, we still have a lot of potential. We're sticking out among these masses of crypto games. Like, what sticks out? The visuals, and we got those visuals. Nobody can take those away. And
Yeah, and
yeah, I
that's
think
that's one of the big draws for me. Like when I started in this whole area, it was with Axie Infinity, and it was a very simple, not pixelated, but like the art was very simple. And when I saw Illuvium, I was just like, all right, this is going to be like the big AAA thing, this Pokemon style thing that I'm gonna love to play, and that's it's one of the main things that drew me in. But like, yeah, in hindsight, you look and it's just like it cost a ton of money to get to where we are now, and these other games are popping up, some of them out of nowhere that were probably built in 6 months, and people are loving it and people are playing it. Um,
yeah, maybe we went a bit too extreme, right? Because we are probably not only Web3, like in the whole gaming space, we're probably one of the best visuals ever, which is crazy. So maybe we went a bit crazy, and now we actually have to downsize to increase performance, to make it available on weaker systems, also to be able to integrate everything into mobile. That being
yeah,
said, it's way easier to downgrade than to upgrade. So I think all the Illuvials and all the assets are already ready for the mobile version. So yeah.
yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Taryn, what do you think?
Uh, sorry. Okay, about the AAA thing. Is it the right thing to do? I think there's value in it. you see games like Wukong, you see games like that. Obviously, GTA 6 is coming out. There is value to it. The issue with it is the budget, and we're seeing this in across the gaming industry as a whole. We see it with, I believe it's Monolith Games. I believe that's the studio and its name. The guys that did Shadow of War, Shadows of Mordor, Monolith. So they just shut down, I believe it was in the last 48 hours. Warner Brothers has now canceled the Wonder Woman game. I don't know who would want to play that game anyway, while it was in development, but that was shut down. There's obviously we saw Concord recently. So the issue with AAA games is that it's very different from how it was back in the day in the PS2, Xbox 360 era, where we saw games come out so frequently, budget was less, and I think that's why Nintendo is actually positioned in a very unique way. And why am I saying all of this? Where is all of this tying into? AAA games cost a lot to make, which means that their success requires a lot more players, a lot more revenue. It's a lot harder for them to even break even than it is a non-AAA game, which is why I think Nintendo, who was never caught up in that hardware war, is actually positioned that, because, I mean, would we consider Mario Party or Mario Kart to be a AAA game? Not really. They're relatively casual games, but they do so well, and they don't require even. I forget the actual amount. I did some research on this maybe a week ago, but I forget how much the budget was for Breath of the Wild, the Zelda game. It was so minimal compared to all of these other games that we see. For them to even break even was so simple. I won't say it was still a great thing to achieve, but it wasn't like what we're looking at now in PlayStation and even PC gaming. So is there room for AAA games? Absolutely. Should everyone be doing it? No. And I think we're going to see it as more studios close down, not just in the Web3 game, in the Web2 game gaming industry, that we're going to start to see a bit of a shift into less requirement or less hype about fidelity and more just about fun gameplay. There is a reason, I think it's called Overcooked. I think that was the game. Overcooked, Among Us, Fall Guys. There is a reason all of these games were popular. Like, it's not the high fidelity that made them cool. Certain games, Final Fantasy, Rebirth, games like that, where it's story driven, that makes sense. Where you want to make that you want to make that a cinematic experience. I can understand that, but most games don't require that. But most games are chasing it, and they're just setting themselves up for, I won't say failure, but a much harder time. So I think we're going to start to see a shift in the gaming industry where not all games are going to be chasing that. And if they do, we're going to see a lot more studios get shut down and a lot more layoffs.
Yeah. And I even look at
risk and reward.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, I even look at my daughter, who's she's about to be 9 years old. So her and her little friends, like they've been playing video games together, like on the iPads, and they're always playing Roblox and Minecraft. And neither of those are they're big games. A ton of people play them, but they're simple games. You don't look at them and you're just like, oh, this is a AAA game and the graphics look great. They're just fun games to play. And that's what I see with some of these other Web3 games that are popping up recently. Like, they're just fun games. You don't necessarily need those great AAA quality visuals. Even though I think, like you said, there is a place for those. And I'm glad Illuvium took that route. And when it's all said and done, I think it's going to be, a tough road, but I think it's going to be the smart decision for them.
See, I think, sorry to cut you off here.
Yeah.
I think Illuvium did the right thing with starting up. Like, if we look at the actual assets in the game compared to the NFT assets, they're not the same quality. The NFT assets being AAA, like on the highest level, makes complete sense, and I understand that. And we're seeing right now, and I think what even Kieran and some of the team have mentioned this publicly, the fact that it was so high fidelity. Let's compare it with Palworld. Palworld was able to get away with a lot more things because it wasn't as high fidelity. Like, the jank was a part of its charm, not a hindrance. Whereas if you go super high fidelity, the jank starts to look out of place. It looks weird. Like, it just takes you out of the immersion of it. So what we've tried to do, and I think we've been seeing it in going hyper with Dick and the rest of the guys, Llama and all that, is we've been doing this for the past year and a half, or Illuvium's been doing this for the past year and a half, is making them low poly models. And what that means is that they have less triangles, less, it's less detailed, essentially. And I think once you do that, that opens up a lot more things where you've got these high quality assets in the NFTs, and we do have the high quality assets, but we can utilize the low poly assets and not make AAA games. Like I think there's so much we can do, and it's definitely more expensive to go high poly to low poly because you need to start off with that foundation. But I think it's better that we have done that because then it's easier to go low poly than it is from low to high. That's a lot more effort. So it's like Illuvium's front loaded the hard work. So yeah, I don't think they need to be going AAA with everything that they do.
Yep. All right, let's move on to this last topic. Um, so this is just more on the overall markets. We've been crashing these past couple days, and I can't help but think like I just look back to it. It when Trump first took got into the White House, whatever this is, a month ago, that Trump coin that came out like literally I think the day before he went in there. I feel like that just really screwed up the whole markets. It because so many people just moved all of their liquidity to this Trump coin, and then a lot of people lost their money, and then more of these coins are coming out. You get the Melania coin that came out, the Libra coin. You have Dave Portnoy shilling these shit coins and making his own coins, and I just keep thinking like, what if we just didn't have these meme coins? There's a ton of money that could be going into these legit projects and into even just Bitcoin and Ethereum and top altcoins. Like, are meme coins really just, yeah, they're bringing in some new people, I guess. But if you bring in new people and you screw them over and they lose money, you're probably going to lose them even harder, in the future. But are meme coins really just like failing this market right now? Or do you think the market's just going to do what it's going to do?
You can't save everyone, and people want to gamble. You don't need to have a deeper insight into it. Like it's just okay. You take it away, and then what? What people aren't going to find another way to gamble on something? Of course they will.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah, but should it be connected to the new president? Like, of course, there's gambling, but should it be promoted by a platform like this? Like everybody, I think, was pretty excited about the serious aspects of it, like a national reserve in Bitcoin. Somebody even said Ethereum, and then like meme coins comes out where it's just like a joke and gambling. And yeah, I think like Jeff said, you're gonna lose trust
Yeah.
in the retailers.
And honestly, I wouldn't even say all meme coins are bad. Like, I think the idea of how it, up until this past year, where there was just like a few big coins that people bought into, they had fun, they had communities like Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, Pepe. I think all of those are, still good meme coin projects with good community. But the past year, 6 months, when there's just a new freaking meme coin, shit coin coming out every week.
Say it, Najif. Say the racist meme coins. You know the racist ones.
I don't remember. I never bought into any racist meme coins. But you know what I'm saying? There's too much. And most of the time, it's probably the same people making money off of the people who don't know what they're doing. And yeah, you could say that's their fault, but like it's going to be on the people who are just creating these to just be like, let's do what's best for the greater crypto market and stop all of these putting out all these new shit coins and just start moving their money into Bitcoin in these legit projects. Like, I think that's going to come. I'm already exhausted from memes. I jumped in for a little bit trying to take advantage of the hype, made some money on some, lost some money on others, but I'm already to the point where I'm sick of memes. I just want my money where in safe things like Bitcoin. And I think
you're getting old.
Sorry, what's that?
You're getting old.
I'm getting old. Yeah, that's what it is. I see memes all the time. Well, like not meme coins, but memes all the time. It's just like you start your first cycle and you're all into these altcoins and these meme coins, and then by the time you're on like your third cycle, you're a Bitcoin maxi, and I'm definitely not a Bitcoin maxi, but I'm leaning closer every day. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't stand the meme coins anymore. I think they're just screwing the market. I just want to get back to the market that we had 4 years ago, where you could put your money into good, solid projects and they would go up, and you didn't have to like be gambling on the new, the new ticker that you see get.
You're
Someone
always gonna have the trenches, though. Like I legitimately have no opinion on this because the trenches are gonna exist.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what are you gonna do? Just enjoy it. Just find entertainment in it.
Yeah, but I mean, put aside the idea that it's going to happen either way. Do you think that this is a problem for crypto, or do you think like
I don't think my
it's not?
opinion on this. I don't think my opinion matters. Like, okay, let's say I think it's an issue.
Yeah.
What is that going to do? Is that going to change the reality of it? No. Let's say I say it's not an issue. Is that going to change it?
Yeah.
No. Like, it just, like, I try to focus on the things that I actually can control. And
Yeah.
this, like I say, I can't control this. So what do I do? Cry and complain, or just try and find it entertaining? Like, and
Yeah.
I just try to find the funny in it. So
I think it's more education too. I think getting new people, bringing in new people that are, and just exposing them to the meme coins when they don't know what's going on, they're the ones losing the money. I think these people just need to be educated more to, go into look at real projects, look at the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, like real projects, and have confidence that they could put their money there and do well instead of trying to just gamble on these meme coins because their friend told them to do it. And then you have these Discord groups that are just sniping everything and making all the money. So yeah, it comes down to the individual who's losing money here. They just need to do better, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with you that we went back a few years. Like, we already had this meme coin madness, and then it kind of got more tame, and there was like some value connected to it, at least like community wise, and wasn't so bad. But now it's right back to cash grab, just screwing people over, and yeah, I
I
don't
Yeah,
like
think
to see it.
everyone's just way too emotional right now. Like anytime there's a crash, everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is the issue. We should have known." And
yeah,
then next week, everything goes up, and everyone's fucking euphoric again. So like, I'm just so emotionally detached. It just doesn't matter, man. Just put your head down, do what the fuck you need to do,
yeah.
and just enjoy the ride. Like it's not that. I don't know. It's not
Like a
that
meme
deep.
coin.
In
No,
my mind, it's not
I
that
get
deep.
it. I get it. And I always think that, like, even though, like, I even made a quick post on X the other day just saying, like, I'm exhausted. And I really do feel like more exhausted than I felt my whole 5 years in crypto. But I always think, like, I still hold a good chunk of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is what's keeping my portfolio from really just plummeting. And I know there are some people out there that don't hold any Bitcoin, and I don't know how they're doing it. It's gonna be tough. But
Yeah,
yeah,
at
I guess
least we're in this together.
was that?
At least we're in this together.
Yo,
Yeah,
wag me, right?
Solidarity.
Wag
WAGME.
me.
Yeah, remember WAGME? We're all gonna make it. Hell no, that didn't work out. We're not all gonna make it. Some of us are gonna make it. I think I'm gonna make it. We're all gonna make it,
So
but
this
not
guy. Oh, we're not all gonna
not.
make it. No,
No, no,
we're
no.
all
I mean,
gonna make it. This guy.
everyone here is gonna make it. Everyone in these comments is probably gonna make
We're
it.
all
There's
gonna make
a lot of
it.
people, a lot of people who don't make it. Okay, we're approaching the hour. This has actually been one of the longer episodes. But yeah, so we'll close it out from there. Thanks, Tyron, for coming on. You're always welcome. If you want to be a mainstay, come at us every time. Paz, thanks for coming on. We got to get your
Always.
computer
Thank
set up.
you.
You don't need to be on your phone next time.
Yeah.
And then I guess we can close out with my hometown fudster here saying we ain't gonna make it. All
That would
right.
be a good coin.
Yeah, we ain't gonna make it, coin. All right, guys. I'll catch you later. Thanks everyone for watching.
Peace out.